Good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. How are you all doing today? Listen, this is the day the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. I am so grateful and I'm honored to be able to greet you once again on this Tuesday night at 7 p.m. On the Be Healed Web Show. Whether you're watching live on Facebook or YouTube or any other modalities, LinkedIn, Twitter, as well as Twitch. We're happy to have you on tonight. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Some people say smash that subscribe button. Listen, hit it, smash it, just subscribe. Right? Stay tuned for all the great things that happens on that particular channel, as well as if you're watching on Facebook. Make sure you share, comment, get into it. I have an amazing guest on tonight. I mean, literally, she's amazing. And I'm excited to have her on with us. Good evening, Mother. I love you. Thanks for tuning in. But I'm going to introduce her in a second. But let's got some little housekeeping items to kind of go through on tonight. I will tell you all it's so great when we're able to integrate some offers that we have with our Be Healed store. So if you are ever needing that reaffirmation and you have an iPhone, let me just say this for my iPhone users, and you want a ruggedized iPhone case, but with an inspiring message, we have I Am Enough. Whether in blue, like a royal blue, whether pink or one of those devastating Delta reds, or if you want it in black, you can definitely do so by scanning that. As well as I'll highlight one of my favorite shirts, Dripped in Melanin. That Dripped in Melanin shirt is available. It's a V-neck. Listen, it's summertime. We can't be all collared up. We got to be able to breathe. All right. And it's a universal shirt, unisex in that manner. And so we know that we come in all shades and sizes and colors, and God has made us beautifully so. And my last and most favorite shirt of all. How many know that your breakthrough is on the way? Listen, your breakthrough is on the way. You have to believe God for that because your breakthrough is truly on the way. And I'm excited to see what God is going to do in and through each and every one of you. I'll do some more housekeeping and some announcements regarding the retreat towards the end of the show. But let me tell you about my guest. I have the Mrs. Brandi Day. She is the CEO and founder of I Daydream nonprofit organization. She's a speaker. She is the founder of the youth. It's a youth nonprofit program, which is I Daydream. She's known for motivating not only leaders, but future leaders of America and for the world. Really, she loves God, loves her family, and she has a testimony. Okay. Woo! She, y'all gonna hear? Okay. Her goals and her desires is to equip young people to develop a positive view, experience, and understanding of self, community, so they can grow up to be empowered adults who live not only a productive life, but a purposeful life. Listen, I'm all for that because we have generations preceding us or coming after us, let me say that are succeeding us. And we want them to know who they are. We want them to know that they have an identity through God. And so I'm excited to hear how she's going to share that. She is a devastating diva, a Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Now, even though, she picked red, we in red, that crimson and white, we still love her anyway. And so, as a sister Greek, I'm proud to have her on. Um, let's welcome, listen, y'all, welcome this amazing gift. You're in for a treat as she tells you about her new book, Helicopter Ma, coming to stores, shelves, your Kindle and Amazon books shortly. Welcome, the Mrs. Brandi Day. Hi.
Hello.
How
Hello.
are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm
Good.
grateful. See, my sister Shannon's in the comments on tonight. Let us get into helicopter ma. Let's get into that. But before we do that, is there anything else you want the people to know about you? Because I mean, listen, there's so much that I'm learning about you, and I love you. I love you. I do. I just know that.
No, thank you very much. First of all, thank you for having me. This is really exciting. I'm like, yes. All right. Tuesday, 7 o'clock has made it here.
Yeah.
Um, oh my gosh. I mean, yes, I do. I love my family. I do have a lot that I do. I daydream is my baby, but I am God's child. I am a wife. I am a mother of three, um, and a sister of two. A
Yes.
friend to many. So I think you covered all the bases. I mean, there's always more to tell, right? But we would be here all day. But you definitely highlighted me. Great.
So listen, I got a chance. My mother is the one actually who introduced me to you.
Mm-hmm.
Went to your vision board party,
Mm-hmm.
where you allow for the women not only to be in pajamas and kick it wear, but for them to really start to forecast. And I think sometimes people feel like vision boards are supposed to be only for youth,
Mm-hmm.
young adult, but
Mm-hmm.
whether regardless from 8 to 80, we all need vision and
Absolutely.
beyond, and so I really want to applaud you for that because reaching to the multitude that sometimes get disregarded.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So that's
And if
awesome.
you breathing, you got a dream. I don't care. Like everybody has a dream, and I just feel like some people just count themselves out because of their age. And it's like, no. I mean, we see on the media, social media waves all the time of, these our elders going back and getting their high school diplomas at 78, 87. And so I just feel like if you have breath, just go for it.
That's right. That's right. As long as we got that blood pumping, he's not through with this yet.
Mm-mm.
So, and shout out to your godmom, Audrey, who was instrumental in making that connection for us as well.
Mhm.
So let's talk about Helicopter Mom. Where did your nickname of being Helicopter Mom come from?
Very good question. So I feel like I need to go a little back
Okay.
before I get into the title. So I have three kids. I have a son who's 19, almost 20. I have a daughter who's 16, and I have a son who is 7.
Mm.
And I had my son in college. I had my daughter 2.5 years later. And at the time, I was working in mortgage, and that was when the recession was hitting. So I
Wow.
was literally I was in the parking lot picking up my son from school, had bags packed because we were going to the hospital because I was getting induced with her. And I got a call from my manager and was laid off. So in that moment, I'm like, okay, I got a kid that's 2.5 years old. I got literally a baby that's getting ready to make her debut, and
Mhm.
I just lost my job. What am I do? So I got great severance package, and just at that moment, I'm just like, all right, forget the job and whatever's happening. I'm going to use this opportunity to get my MBA. So I took 2 years just from working and got my MBA and coasted kind of until the severance ran its course. Um, and then life just started moving forward. And so I didn't know what maternity leave was. I just
Mm.
knew how it was on my terms. I had my son and he went to college classes with me, had my daughter, and she's basically in college with me again, but I'm doing it on my time without going to campus and stuff. So fast forward to 2015 when I had our youngest. Let me say my background is in HR. So at the time when I had him, I was working for Boeing in human resources. And so when I had him, I knew that I had to go through the process and was taking a maternity leave. So I'm like, okay, this is great. I'm off.
Mm.
It's wonderful. Then time started ticking. It was about time to go back to work. So I'm like, oh, wait, so what am I gonna do with this baby? Because my husband works overnight. And so there was no way to, all right, you take day shift, I take night shift. There was no room for that. So I was slated to go back at the beginning of January after like the holiday break. And it was like the second week of December where we were running. We didn't want to put him in daycare. We
Mm.
want to, we didn't have like family support of, a grandma, if you were an aunt that could watch him. And it was the second week of December, and I was literally at my last resort. And just, I know it's the Lord that put my sorority sister on my heart to call, just to send her a text and ask her if she knew anybody. And she was like, without no hesitation, yep, call dot dot dot. And so I'm like, okay. So I called our nanny, and she fell in love with our son Christian immediately. And she had been watching like another young girl at the time, and was like, okay, when do you want him to come? And the rest was history from there, as far as how that lined up. So she's like a grandmother to us. Okay, I mean, that was her baby, that is her baby still to this day. And I'm just one of those parents where I ask questions, because I want to make sure that when I drop him off, that he has enough food, he has enough milk, he has enough diapers, he has enough wipes, like all the things. I'm bringing in his swing. Well, we got buying an extra swing, but she had her own car seat. Like, it was always things I just wanted to make sure, because I just never wanted, just, I would feel bad if I got a call saying, hey, you forgot. So I was
Right.
always asking these just questions. And she's like, one day she was like, oh, girl, just calm down. He's all right. You're just such a helicopter mom. And I'm like, wait. Now, according to Webster, helicopter mom is defined as dot, dot, dot. And so I really kind of internalized that. And I felt a type of way, because I'm like, I don't see myself being what Webster says. I'm the polar opposite of what it is. And so it just took some time to just kind of marinate. And obviously I'm laughing it off, but internally I'm like, no, hold on. This is not okay, right? It just didn't sit right with me. So I'm sure, just, I don't know how much time had passed, but finally one night, and this is all around the time of the inception of growing and building I Daydream.
Mhm.
So I was like, you know what? Let me just start writing, because I love to journal. I love to write things out, and I'm good for turning something in and flipping it, taking something and flipping it. And so one night I just started writing. I was like, this would be a good title for a book, but it wouldn't mean exactly what Webster defines it as. I would take it and turn it into my definition. Um, and I just thought, the way in which that our story just unfolded, and this whole kind of joke, if you will,
Mhm.
landed in my lap, I just turned it around and made it for good.
Absolutely. That is something that is so needed. I like how you stated in your caption for your book, because the book is coming, y'all. I keep trying to tell y'all the book is coming. The book is coming. It's very much, in that production stage, uh,
Mm-hmm.
as it relates to that, taking that negative, that what was meant to scar you,
Mm-hmm.
or even meant to make you back off,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Or meant to kind of subdue your mother tendencies, or even make you feel inadequate.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, yes, you're not a first time mom, but this is, you're trying to make sure that your youngest child has everything that he needs, and the people caring for him have
Mm-hmm.
everything that they need. Like, what's wrong with that?
I know.
So, what has been your experience in this parenting journey? Because when you mentioned you're the polar opposite, like helicopter mom, according to Webster, someone who hovers, because we know helicopters, they don't really fly at high altitudes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, especially like even the military ones, they won't fly, obscenely high like an airplane would.
Mm-hmm.
You're definitely going to hear them, see them, especially if it's a ghetto bird, you can hear that no matter where you are, right? But oh, they right above my house. It's crazy. So what made, when you're saying you're the polar opposite, you're saying you're not a hover, you're not trying to, to land at any place. What has been your experience? What would you say your parenting style is, and how did that formulate?
I'm very, very, very hands-on with my kids. As you know, there's a lot that's going on in our world as it relates to our kids, and that we witness on a day-to-day basis. And I do feel like that the world often times it tempts them, right? And it's, look, don't get me wrong, it lures you, and you'd be like, "Ooh, that look nice. Let me
Mhm.
go," right? But that's only temporary satisfaction. I mean, at the end of the day, you're still laying your head on a pillow, and do you feel fulfilled or do you not? So for
Right.
me, I'm very hands-on. My kids know. They've never taken. Now, this is nothing. This is just because we have been able to provide them with the lifestyle, and we have been blessed to be able to be their form of transportation. They've never taken a city bus. I took the city bus all the time. Listen, I took the city bus so much, I collected the transfer tickets. Like, it was a thing. It was that's the type of era I grew up in. But they've never taken the city bus, right?
Mhm.
They've gone to the mall and I've dropped them off, or I've come back, or I'm walking around the mall with them. But I think that's because that's the type of relationship that we have. But they also know that sometimes it's just not safe to just get dropped off at the mall like it was when mom or dad was growing up, you know. So I'm very hands on. I feel like, helicopter ma is, that responsible parent, that involved parent, not
Mhm.
possessive, not controlling, not overly protective, and not over perfecting. We're at the end of the day still trying to learn, and as we go, we make mistakes, but we're not, for lack of better words, I said, you can call me helicopter mom, but you can't call me trifling. You
That
know,
part.
my
That
kids, my kids know and can, they're part of their story when they grow up and when they're adults, is they can say that I was there. And I'm
part.
just speaking as for moms, not necessarily the dads, but for the moms, like, I was there. I didn't get it right, but I was there. And so I also believe that, helicopter moms, they nurture, they guide, they listen, they laugh, they cry, they remind, they are juggling multiple tasks, and
Yeah.
they care. They're checking you. They are checking on you, but checking you as well in the midst of it all. You know,
Mhm.
I just feel like our presence, and we are women who automatically come out the womb with that nurturing spirit. And
Yeah.
so that's what helicopter mom for me is, and what I feel like I have grown to evolve on a daily in my parenting with my kids. So um, it isn't easy. It isn't easy, but I have learned to just kind of really assess the things that I went through as an adolescent, things that I was getting into that I had no business getting into. Um,
Mhm.
but transitioning, my mom did the best that she could, but there was still some things I'm like, yeah, no, I have no business. And by the grace of God, I was protected through it all, because there were definitely moments where I'm like, okay, all right.
See, and because my sister Cassandra and Shannon are weighing in, and Shannon saying there's so much going on in this world, so you have to be present.
Mm-hmm,
And I remember growing up, we could be latchkey kids.
mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm,
know, your oldest sibling might be 15.
mm-hmm,
Your youngest sibling, in my case, I was 12. Right. So my sister's 15, I'm 12. Dad works in LA.
mm-hmm,
Mom works, probably about 10, 15 minutes from the house.
mm-hmm,
So not incredibly far, but if she has to do overtime, if she has to run another errand, go get groceries, if dad has a side job, we could manage ourselves.
mm-hmm,
And there wasn't an issue.
mm-hmm,
You go to school, you
mm-hmm.
come home, you do
Right.
your homework, you lock the door,
Mm-hmm,
everything's fine.
mm-hmm.
Now, because the progression of this world and its decline,
Right.
right, is
Mm-hmm.
progressively declining, which sounds crazy in itself.
Right.
You know, kids can't necessarily do that. Cassandra is saying that because children do need guidance, and I think that that's something that we often forget
Mhm.
because we see this day and age the children are very tech savvy.
Yes.
You know, they they can see a TikTok dance and within minutes
Cool.
they're doing it,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're not discerning all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think our generation had a kind of street wisdom.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Oh, we would not survive in this TikTok social media world. Seriously. I think, look, printing our GPS on paper, look,
Yes.
not only did that raise us, but look, pagers, look,
Man,
the
knowing how to do the codes,
the code, yes. the phone booths. Like, listen,
Yes.
look, you
These
always got to
kids
have a quarter in your pocket.
these kids know nothing about peachy folders. These
No,
kids know nothing about when your Game Boy doesn't have any more batteries, or if by chance those batteries exploded,
I know.
you know,
Or blowing the video game in the Nintendo.
making it work. Like, and so I feel like our generation had such an advantage
Hmm.
that still allowed for us to play outside,
Hmm.
have so we had social understanding.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This generation, not so much. Shannon said when we grew up, we would stay outside until the street lights came on. Now my boys go outside. I go out. So she said, when my boys go outside, I go outside too. Listen, yes, we got to get out there and keep us mobile. Tell us about your childhood. You said, there was times that you understand that your mom did her best, but what was your childhood like?
Hmm. So I grew up in a single parent household. Well, my first 6 years, I grew up in a two-parent household. About first five,
Mhm.
6 years, my mom and dad are still married. So I remember life growing up with two parents in the household, but the rest of my life was without. So I grew up in a single parent household with my mom, and two brothers who came 6 and 7 years later.
Mhm.
Um, so my mom, I remember the house having, us having a house. I remember them having jobs. I remember things just taking a shift in life, literally flipping, uh,
Mhm.
literally upside down, um, from, the involvement of drugs and alcohol coming into play. Um, I remember a lot of things, shockingly. Some things obviously are still a blur, but I remember getting a job at 14 and that just being like, I just felt like it was like an intuition thing. Like I need to do this kind of thing. And just feeling like I need to help provide with my mom, because yes, she did the best that she could. And I will definitely give her credit because we never got lights off. I mean, we got notifications for sure. We never were evicted. Um, um, but it was rough. It was rough. So we were born in Northern California, Monterey to be specific, and moved to Seattle. I always get this wrong. I want to say 92 or 93. So majority the our lives are Seattle, and
Okay.
so she moved us there just to have a better life. She wanted to get out of the small town we're from, and so we moved up to Seattle with my grandfather, her dad, and lived with him for some time. And then, how it goes, you meet people and you kind of get back into that lifestyle.
Mm.
So it was just a lot of, like I said, the drugs and alcohol that came to play, and just trying to make sure that we're okay. Not that we weren't okay, but there were times where, I would be scared if my mom was coming home at night, or, scared when she's drinking at night, or, if she's doing drugs or something like that. And just, it was just more protect mode for me, just because she was all we had. We had each other, but as far as like our person was her. I mean, we had our grandfather and then my aunt moved up here too, but we lived with her. Um, I remember my times in California and probably half of Seattle just not wanting to be around, because maybe of things that I saw.
Mhm.
I've also been told that I would be sent over to my grandmother's house because of things that I would say off the things that I saw.
Mm.
There are times, my mom would go away for the weekend with my brothers and her boyfriend, who boyfriend wasn't really well liked amongst our family because it's the drugs and the alcohol and stuff. And
Mhm.
I would stay back because I just didn't want to be around that. So there are just things that I saw, and probably things that my brothers can remember and have seen, that we haven't really collectively shared together. Um,
Okay.
but it was rough. It was rough. It was rough, but it was good. But I also, my mom, that was one of the things though too. She always prayed. She did take us to church when she could. So church, I didn't grow up in the church, but church was not foreign to me. Um,
Mhm.
but I knew that she would pray and she had Bibles and stuff like that. But I really do believe, and she's cleaned up, she's been clean for so long, but she's cleaned up her life. And you know, the people who you are around really, it really matters. And so
Yeah.
once you kind of clean, do that kind of housekeeping, like you said, clean
Mhm.
house and move those people out of your life, then you got to rebuild. And that's what a season that she had to go through. And so it's been remarkable to witness that and to see that. But you know, I feel bad because I know there are some regrets that she lives with. I know, and she has made comments before about, you know, just about having her dream guy and how that went into shambles and how she allowed herself to kind of fall victim to that lifestyle. But, you know, at the end of the day, I really, really believe that God was just had his grace over her because she could have lost us at any moment, you
Right.
know. Um, but I'm also glad that I was wise enough and I was, um, you know, older than them to be able to help kind of level out that field, if you will, at a
Yeah.
young age. So, yeah.
It's so interesting when you mentioned about, God's grace in keeping you and your family.
Hmm.
For you to be 14 working, I'm like, I remember we had to get workers permit. It wasn't just you just walk in but again, you're up in Washington, so I know California law and Washington law is different, but
Hmm.
the fact that God even blessed you to start to be employed,
Hmm.
to whatever though, and let's be honest, minimum wage back then ain't nothing like it is now,
Hmm.
right? So, but being able to help have a standard for your siblings.
Hmm.
Um, while you were sharing, I'm like, and yeah, CPS wasn't on, CPS didn't try to commandeer or, take you all away.
Hmm.
All these things that could, drugs and alcohol, when those things are in the midst,
Hmm.
houses can get raided,
Hmm.
houses can be broken into, folks can, want to kidnap children,
Hmm.
to get to the parent, all these things
Hmm.
that, when we pray that prayer, God, thank you for keeping us from danger seen and unseen.
Hmm.
Just the multitude of what it could have been, but
Absolutely.
God said not so. That's pretty awesome.
I will say, when you just mentioned something, I will say, I think the house that we lived in California, I do believe we got put out that one because I think she said our stuff was on the street because she talks about a lot of different like household items that we had that she wished she still had to this day. So I do think we got put out that house. Um, another thought that came to my mind was I do believe a close family member did call CPS on her once that she disclosed to me. That I don't think that they came, or either they came and saw that we were okay and nothing was, they didn't find any or anything like that. So I think
Mhm.
kind of got away. But I do believe a close family member did call CPS on her.
Yeah, I mean, folks can throw up smoke signals, but the fact that God didn't allow them to intervene,
Mm-hmm.
because I've seen what happens when children become wards of the state, and because you're the eldest, it's hard to place,
Mm-hmm.
a 14, 15, 16-year-old girl into
Mm-hmm.
a family home. It's hard to, place even two boys, especially of color, into a family home.
Mm-hmm.
All these things can happen, but when we understand that God's plans for us will always supersede anything that we can ever hope or dream or imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, you talking about some good things.
Mm-hmm.
So, you don't look like what you've been through.
Nope.
And so you said to me that there were times where it could have went another way for you.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, I have to ask you this. Your mother became using of alcohol and drugs.
Mhm.
Did you ever see that being for you? Did you ever see that being your life?
As far as the use, no.
Hmm.
Oh no. I did hang around people who sold it, who they probably like for sure weed, they smoke weed, right? I have smoked weed before too. Never did like
The hard stuff, yeah.
hard stuff. No. Never desired, never will. No, no, no. It never even tempted me. But I'm sure people I hung out with on the low, behind the scenes, they probably did. But I did sell weed. I did. I tried to act like I was trying to fit in. So The part of Seattle or the neighborhood and apartment buildings that we lived in and the crew that I hung out with, it was a lot of guys. Far, a few small hand of us girls, but we lived in the hood, if you will. We had a lot of fun times there. It was like a huge part of our memories. It's like a staple of a part of Seattle, if you will. Probably not now because of gentrification, but I did sell weed, and there was a point in time where I did sell. Nobody knows this. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I did put my hand on a little bit of crack before. I did. And that came and it gone. Just as much as you sneeze, as quick as you can sneeze and you blessing you, like that's how quick I came in and came out because that wasn't my life. No, I was
Yeah.
too scared. I'm not, listen, I will talk mess. I will try to, hang around the
Mhm.
crew and all that. But listen, um, it's just like again going back to the intuition and just going back to where you ain't got no business,
Right.
and you just can't even do the transaction right. You can't do. And you shaking and look, you dropping stuff, and then you drop stuff. You gotta make sure you ain't finna get hit over the head. You be like, wow, okay, I am not for this. No, just take me back to the crayons and the markers. Let me go back to that because it's not my life.
I, I
Not my
love what you're saying because when you're not built for the streets, okay, you're just not built for it. Like
life.
when you mentioned about trying to do a deal and making sure the calculations, like you trying to sell a brick for $10, like wait, what? Like what are you doing? It's one of those things that help us to know when you're saying the intuition. I look at it as, the Holy Spirit he talks to us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He leads, he guides us, and when we know that, and we might not know in the fullness, because I do believe none of us know in the fullness of what we shall be, but we do know when what's not for us.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you had enough understanding in your teen years, which is normally the time when we trip out,
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm-hmm.
is normally the time where we're like, I know that I had tried to fit in. I mean, tried, right? My mom said grandma. But when we understand that that's just not for us.
Mm-hmm.
So you get out of that quick life.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what I was doing.
Next step, where'd you go?
Gosh, I mean, I think I was still working during that time. So let me preface by saying I think I need to buy stock in McDonald's because that was my first job. I think I lied on that application, y'all. I really do. Like that has been on my mind too. And I'm gonna buy stock in McDonald's. I am because I owe it to them. I do. I think I put the opposite year. So I think I told them I was 15 versus 14. I still had a work permit, but I don't think that I told the truth. I really don't think I did. Maybe they'll like have like an archive and they can give me my application or something. I
Like,
don't know.
look, they
Maybe
don't they,
I
they don't want no smoke.
I they don't want no smoke. They don't, but I just feel like I need to. That's like my way of kind of repaying my not being true. So I was still working. I don't even what year was that? That was probably maybe ninth grade. So what I didn't say is growing up, I was bullied into middle school and into high school. So
Mm.
it's sixth, seventh, eighth is middle school and high school. So I was friends with the girl in sixth grade. It started getting rocky in about seventh grade, and that's when a lot of the stuff started happening, and more heavier in eighth grade. Then it transitioned into my ninth grade, all by the same girl, which ended up trickling to her kind of crew, if you will. So when the crew saw me, the crew wanted to fight me. It wasn't even just her, it was guys and everything. Because I vividly remember one day my uncle had took me to McDonald's to pick up my check, and they were in the drive-through. I was in the store talking to the manager getting my check. They saw me through the drive-through window, excuse me, got their food, came from around. I'm walking out and it goes down. I mean, we tripping and fighting and acting just as silly. That's just one major fight. Another fight happened in at a bus stop outside of our apartments. Another fight happened, the incident I was telling you about in the store when I was hanging out, when I was living that life, trying to act like I knew I was doing, had something in my pocket. And I mean, the bus, you think of a city bus, the one
Mhm.
that extends, not just one, but they got the little accordion in the middle and it goes to the back. It was that type of bus. That's how packed, standing room only of kids going to late night at the local community center. So I was at the corner store with my homies, and they saw me on the bus and jumped off the bus. And it was all swinging when they got off the bus, from the moment they to pass the seats to, I mean, we tore the store up. We had big red and wriggly gum, everything flying everywhere. It was a mess. So I won't necessarily say that I got jumped, because I was holding my own. I was, but it was just so chaotic because it was people everywhere. So it was more, it looked like probably like someone was getting jumped, but it was a fight, but it was also people trying to break it up. Mind you, we're in the people's store too. And so I'm telling you, it was a mess. So the police show up, and then the bus was still there because there was so many people. So they jumped back on the bus and the bus left. And so I knew exactly where she was going because everybody was going there. So the police show up. I tell them about what happened, and the store clerk is doing the same. And so they asked me if I wanted to go identify her so that they can arrest her. I said, sure. So they, obviously getting in a patrol car, got to make sure I don't have weapons and all that stuff. So they're patting me down. And as I was telling you, this is back then when we get film developed. Okay, remember you got
Yes,
film.
oh yes, those good old days, honey.
Right? Again, God had His hands on me. So it was a black case with a gray top, and I
Mhm.
had a couple little things in there. And so the police officer, she's like, empty out your pockets. And so I'm showing her the things I have in my pockets, and she's like, oh, what is this? And I'm like, oh, it's just some film that I need to go get developed. And she was like, okay. And I'm like, okay, but my heart is beating because I'm just like, if she do a little jangalang, we
It don't
finna,
sound like film.
like, I'm finna jangalang, okay? I'm gone. So I get in the car with the jangalang, literally, and go and identify the girl. They pull her out. I mean, there's probably hundreds of, I don't even know how old we were, say between 14 and 16-year old, for hundreds and hundreds of people. So they go in there and they get her and they take her to jail. So that's just a little stint of part
Mhm.
of my photo. um, that's just a part of the stint of that, what I was going through after that and in that part. So I get it together. I don't do any of that. Eventually the whole bullying stuff, the courts get involved. She goes to juvenile for a plethora of other things. I had to get a restraining order from her. So all through this, I'm, transitioning into high school. She registers. I didn't go to high school for like the first, I say like the first month. It was probably the first 3 to 4 weeks of high school I did not go to, because the high school I was enrolled in, she found out and enrolled into that school. So
Wow.
mom had to pull me out. And so then I went to the high school that I ended up graduating from. The first couple of days, she showed up with her crew there, standing outside at the car, waiting for me to come out. It was an absolute mess.
You
Absolute,
know you know what it sounds like, Brandi?
absolute mess.
Did you ever watch Family Guy when it was Peter and the chicken? Like, just on site for
On site for no reason.
no
Like,
reason.
literally, it was a mess. So I go through all this, but all the while I get to like sophomore, my junior year, getting my grades together, everything's great. And come senior year, it's finally like, okay, my friends are like, all right, we're going to college, we're applying for, college applications. I'm like, wait, so you guys are leaving? Like, wait, what? We're graduating. Like, we going. They was graduating, getting ready for college, prepping for all that, doing their essays, taking the SATs and ACTs. And I'm like, okay, let me take my ACT. I ain't ready for the SAT. So I'm a first generation college graduate in my family. And so when I started hearing all those rumblings of my friends getting ready to prep to go to college, I'm like, all right, well, nobody did this in my family. Like, what I'm gonna do? So I'm asking my principal, who was so cool, my cheerleading coach, who was amazing, the career center uh, representative, she was amazing. But so they were trying to dibble and dabble and help me as best as they could, but I didn't have like a mentor. I didn't have anybody specifically that can be like, all right, this question, you do this. So I just printed off the application, excuse me, just so I can say, yep, I applied to college.
Mhm.
Got denied. I went to Washington State University. Go Cougs. I got denied. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I about to do in my life? I don't even know. So a close friend of the family knew a gentleman. I still know his name to this day, Milton Lang. I'm in touch with his wife and I know what's happening with him. And I always give credit to him because the close friend of the family knew him and got a lunch between he and I. I forget, he was like in maybe like the diversity department or something at that time. So we met for lunch. I told him my situation, and this was April. I'm dating myself, but April, no, March of 2000 when I got my denial letter. Met with him probably a week or two later. Um, I had to appeal, and that's what he told me. You're going to have to appeal, but go through the process so that you can and explain to them why they should provide you with an acceptance and accept you. And so I did that and let him know I did it. And
Mhm.
gosh, a week later, I got a call at 7 in the morning saying, "Hi, this is such and such from Washington State University. I just want to say congratulations. You've been accepted into for the
Wow.
fall 2000 quarter." And I'm like, what? Like this a month ago, it was no, and then you go through this process. And so what I had to do with them is I had to appeal, but I had to spell out, and literally I always explain it as I had to peel back the band-aid over the unhealed wound and break it down and say, this is why my application was a mess. This is why I feel that I deserve to be a student, a part of your institution, and what I commit to doing once I'm there. And there we go.
You know, it's so awesome. Trisha said earlier that his plans always supersede.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so Milton was in the right place where he needed to be for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, God always positions people in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Even that police officer, she could have been maybe a week or two on the job. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
you just never know
I know.
the story. I love well written shows.
Mm-hmm.
That's when my speech comes back when I to do duplicate words
Mm-hmm.
or duplicate letters. But like, that's one of the reasons why I love reading the Bible so much. But when you look at, like, even the movie Crash,
Mm-hmm.
seeing how we're all intersected at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, Brandy, I'm wondering about the girl who was your nemesis. You
Yeah.
know, I
Mm-hmm.
wonder, is she in the system still?
Mm-hmm.
Did she grow up to be a prolific crime mob lady?
Mm-hmm.
Or did she, have a little talk with Jesus, and now she's preaching, teaching all across the world, like, you know, I always want to know what happened to the villain,
Mm-hmm.
right? But also, what made the villain the villain?
Yeah.
What was it that made her hate you
Mm-hmm.
so much in that manner? And then, you start to see, and then you get to UW.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're moving forward,
Mm-hmm.
forgetting those things that are behind you, reaching for what's ahead and all the great things that have come from it. you
Mm-hmm.
know Man, you haven't lived a long time compared to, folk, but you have lived, because I see it in like a movie form.
Mm-hmm.
You have lived a very nice drama
Mm-hmm.
television with some comedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm gonna
I'm
add comedy into it for sure because I think that's what gets me through, you know. But it's the inspiration behind, like you talk about that book. I mean, it involves all of that
Yeah.
because I often think that, people hear those types of stories of people who go through things like me, and they think that, oh, there's no good ending, or this is going to get worse, or it's going to get good. It got good, all right. But
Yeah.
it's how what is your good, Don't
Mhm.
let nobody define what that good. You define what the good is, and you define what that storyline is going to be. And so, yeah, it's been very interesting yet fun. And it's always, sometimes when I talk about this, I will cry. Every now and then, depends on what day or, time of the month that you catch me. But I will cry because it is just like, wow, like I'm a warrior, like my
Yeah.
mom is a warrior, my brothers are warrior, like we're really strong, and to get through these things. And
Mhm.
there's just so many other little bits and pieces too that maybe we can probably dive into at another time if you want, but it's just so much that's like, oh my gosh, like we went through that, you know? And That and to me and my brothers have never been in any trouble, never been expelled or
Mhm.
suspended from school. Yeah, I did my little dabble, but that wasn't, that was just me trying to act like I'm a part of the crowd, but that just wasn't for me. But it's a part of my testimony,
Yes, it
uh,
is. And
and go
and
ahead.
I will just say this: when you said regarding your brothers and your family, your story continues to unfold.
Hmm.
And even you sharing tonight in regards to like, man,
Hmm.
you don't let anyone else define what the end of your story is going to look like.
Absolutely.
That is huge.
Hmm.
How many times have we heard parents say, "You're just like so and so.
Hmm.
You're just like your daddy. You're just like your crazy cracked out on." We say these things,
Hmm.
and then if people internalize them,
Hmm.
then they'll live out those things versus saying, "Okay, that's how you see me, but that's not how I see myself."
Yep. Yep. And then too, like with me, you often have people who will tell you no, 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 but no, keep you keep going until you get your yes. Like I could have
Yeah.
allowed Wazoo to tell me, all right, we don't want you, if
Mhm.
for lack of better words, but no, you have opportunities to exhaust every opportunity to know at the end of the day you tried, rather than
Mhm.
letting society or an institution, whatever it is, to tell you like you have to fight for yourself. And I am a perfect example for fighting for myself. So much so that I contacted Wazoo and asked the archives department to send me my college application from 1999. September 1999 is when I submitted it, as well as my appeal letter.
Mhm.
So, my appeal letter, I always read it to the youth when I host programming and do any type of speaking. I always read my appeal letter because
Mhm.
one, that breaks down walls and lets them know, like, wow, she's being transparent. And two, it's letting them know that I'm just like them for some of them and I can relate. So, yeah,
Absolutely. So you went to Washington State and not University of Washington.
boom, pow. Yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, because there is a difference, and I don't want to get shot up in the credits. Okay, they be like, because I know you like that's like me saying Auburn and Alabama is the same. It's not.
No.
It's
Mm-mm.
not the same. So I don't want no smoke. Don't want no smoke. But when you work with the youth, and this is why whoever's watching tonight, if you have any kind of youth, whether it's your children
Mhm.
or youth group, whether you're involved in any type of church or any organization of faith, not of faith, whatever, I definitely hope and recommend you connect with uh, I always call her Dr. Day in my head because I'm like, doctor is coming, I already feel it.
Oh,
Connect with Brandi and I Daydream organization so they can see, because I'm stuck on this right now
mhm,
over in the book of Judges chapter 2 verse 10, that after Joshua and his generation dies,
mhm,
there arises a generation that does not know God.
mm,
And I really feel like that is very evident in today's age where we are, that
mhm,
there's a rising generation existing and even to come that do not know the Lord.
mhm.
But most importantly, not knowing the Lord, but secondly, not knowing themselves.
Oh, yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
So if there was something that you can impart to a mother or a father who is trying, or even a parental figure who's trying to win back their child,
Mhm.
their young adult, what would you say for them to do?
Well, one thing that we don't like and that is not common in our community is asking for help.
Mm,
We don't have the answers all the time. We are their parents, but we don't have the
mm,
answers all the time. We know our kids, but sometimes we're not the ones that can get through to our own kids. It is what it is. And that doesn't downplay your ability to parent. It doesn't downplay your title as a mom or a dad, but some you just got to ask for help. So that's why I love being able to work with parents and youth
mm,
with I Daydream, because where I'm given different types of resources on different levels. You know, the way that I talk to the parents is different how I talk to the kids. But at the end of the day, they're getting common resources that
Mhm.
they can bring it to the dinner table and be like, hey, I learned that too, or this is, you know, this is how I can help you. And so we got to ask for help. They say it takes a village. We are your village. You know, if you partner, if you allow yourself to invest, not even invest, but entrust a community, a community organization, really, one, research them and check them out, make sure they're solid, you know, and get to know the leader, not the volunteers, but the leader, because you want to know their vision and what their intentions are. Because some people, let's just be real, some people's intentions is just to say, hey, I have a nonprofit, where's the grant money? But some people have a nonprofit that say, hey, I have a story and I'm about to let you know, I'm bringing you into my world and I'm coming into your world. So guess what? We're family at this point because
Mhm.
I've been there, done that, but I can help you so you won't fall and make the same mistakes that I made.
That's good.
So what if you're getting bullied and somebody's laughing at you? It's all right. They gonna do what they do because that's there's what be healed is what we're talking. You know, they
Yeah.
they need to get on a journey of being healed and pray for them too, right? So
Mhm.
it's important that you find your village and you research your village and ask that village and allow that village to come in. It might not be comfortable,
Right.
somebody telling your kid what to do. But I think when you entrust in them and you know in your spirit and that nurturing feeling inside, you allow them to be a part of your family and your village. And
Yeah.
I really think that everything would thrive from there.
I'm looking at some of the things I jotted down while you were sharing. I might not have got it right,
Hmm.
but I was there.
Hmm.
I think so many times people feel that if they don't get it right, that they got to go.
Hmm. Hmm.
But this is a marathon, not a foot race.
Not a foot race.
And you cannot just jump out.
No, you can't. I get into it with my kids all the time. Listen, okay? Listen, there are times I'll cry, I will vent. My husband, they will correct me. I'm the worst at getting corrected. I'm not gonna lie. Um, but I get into it with my kids often. But guess what? We start over again and we all right. Like we gonna be all right. It's a battle, you know, but
Mhm.
the love is there, and a lot of it does come out of love and wanting to be heard and want understanding. It does. But at the end of the day, you just have to just as much grace that you will give to them in situations, you got to make sure you give yourself that grace too, because we have the Bible, we have the structure, um, but there is literally no one that's walking around with us from the moment we push these kids out to the moment they graduate and go through adulthood, holding our hands saying, okay, nope, don't do that, okay, do it this way, okay, no, you got to make mistakes, right? We had to crawl before we walked, most
Mhm.
of us, you know. And I just think that's the same grace that we have to give ourselves on a daily basis, because we mess up.
Yeah.
It is what it is, we mess up, but you just really have to be like, all right, I got to do better. I
That's
got,
it.
yeah. Mhm.
Make the decision to do better.
Make the decision to do better, yeah,
Well,
because you can't run away. You
mhm.
can't run away, I mean, because it ain't it's just sweeping it under the rug, and then there's always an elephant in the room. So
Mhm.
we got
All of
we got to figure it out.
So how can folks get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So you can, my website is idaydream.org, idaydream.org. I'm on social media at idaydream, or I am Brandi Day. Um, all platforms, I'm Brandi Day. Yes, I'm going through all the platforms. I'm Brandi Day. My email is brandy at idaydream.org. Um, Helicopter Ma, yes, is done. It
Yeah.
is not physically in my hands. It will be going into illustrations, but it is available for pre-order right now. And then I can provide you with the link or something. You know.
Yes, please. We need the link. We need the
Um,
link.
yes, I will provide you with the link in a minute.
Okay.
And do you just want me to put all that in the chat, or what do you want?
You can put it in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
But all right, that's the website. Or I put it in private. I don't know how to do it
Yeah.
for everybody else.
I got it. I'll put it in there.
Okay. So yeah, I'm on social media. You know, social media can be a love hate type of thing. Uh, but I am on social media. I love emails. I love calls. I love it all. So I would welcome anybody. If the, I'll always, so here's the deal. I'm open to receiving calls, texts, or whatever to help people because I do believe in saving our youth and providing youth with resources and opportunities and exposure on all levels. I'm not talking just we're going for ice cream. I'm talking about okay, I may know somebody that works for Nike. I may know somebody that works at Disney. I may know somebody that's that's a doctor at Kaiser. I may know somebody whom will be willing to speak with your child to help them get on that right track. So I'm not over here saying it'll be $20 for 20 minutes. Just call me, email me. I always respond. I just want to listen. I
Mhm.
want to flip what is it? The generation that's not knowing for God. I really want to flip
Yeah.
that. I want them to know God. I want them to know themselves.
Yeah.
All caps. That could be a whole conversation of knowing themselves. I want them to know that there are people who care for them. I want them to know that there is a life of fulfillment and of that you can thrive in. You got to work.
Yes, you do.
You got to work
You
and you got
do.
to be wanting it for yourself too because I can't call you and be like, "Get up."
Mhm.
But I'm
Mhm.
willing to go through those steps. I have a whole system and a whole program. I have curriculum. I love the kids, and it makes me so sad to see them being taken or to allow themselves to fall victim to situations. So I'm not going to send you no invoice. I'm just not that type of person.
Yeah.
I really believe that this is my what's my offering. This is my offering. So yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. I did make it a QR code in the upper left hand corner for those that might be watching. If you want to go ahead and pre-order your copy of Helicopter Mob by the author, soon to be known as bestseller, New York Times bestseller author Mrs. Brandi Day. I can tell you if you want to follow her on any of the socials, it's I am Brandi Day and ID dot A dot Y dot dream and on the socials. But if you go to her website, you can click on those socials from there as well and access them. But Brandy, I have learned in my years of living, but especially with doing the Be Healed web show, every person that God has blessed to be on this show
Mhm.
has poured tremendously, not only into those that watch, but into my life. And I don't believe no one as a guest is by accident.
Mhm.
Everyone has a purpose on the show. And I just want to say thank you for agreeing to
Mhm.
stop by the semi syndicated podcast talk show. Listen, I'm believing God for what's to come.
Absolutely.
And I'm grateful to know that there's people out here who like yourself who are committed to doing the work of being concerned about our neighbors as much as we are ourselves,
Mhm.
but as well as for the generation to come. And so thank you for all that you do.
Mhm.
We pray God's choices blessing on you. Listen, we're at our time, but I would be remiss if I didn't let y'all know we do have the women's retreat that's happening. Yes, it is August 25th through the 27th. It is happening, and everybody who's been registering, yes, continue to do so. This is awesome. It's going to be a great time in the Lord. August 25th through the 27th in the beautiful city of Costa Mesa / Newport Beach at the Ayers Hotel and Suites. Registration is $99, which gives you the discounted rate of $159 a night for the hotel room if you want to stay those 2 nights. It's going to be an awesome time. You can pick your room if you want king bed to yourself. You want to do a double queen so you can share with a friend. Ladies, we want to see you. It's going to be a blessed time in the Lord. We're going to be refreshed. We're going to be replenished. We're going to be revived for His namesake. Okay, I'm excited. I'm excited about it. You never know. You might see Brandy there. I'm just saying. Just saying.
You might.
Let's, and so But Brandi, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you to go ahead and just share with us, a closing thought, however you like to close us out. And for those that are tuning in, please thank you for chatting. Thank you for responding. Thank you for interacting with us. Those that will watch at a later time, thank you, thank you, thank you. But make sure you all continue to stay tuned to I Daydream to see what Brandi is up to, because I know it's going to be some great, wonderful things. Brandi, go ahead and take us on out, and let them know that we'll see them next week at 7 p.m.
All right. Well, I will leave it at this. First of all, thank you for a wonderful time. I will let all the mothers know, and if youth are on here too, that motherhood and parenthood is a roller coaster. You spend 9 months connected to a human being, and then over the course of 18 years, you experience all the things. But at the end of the day, it's not a cakewalk, but we fight. And all of what we do on a daily basis is worth the flight. So, um, we will see you guys next week, same time, same place, 7 o'clock. Thank you for the fellowship.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, Brandi, hang on for me a little bit. You all take care. May God bless you. May He keep you. May His face shine upon you and give you strength. May the light of His countenance continue to overwhelm your presence and your coming, your going, in this day forward. In Jesus' name, forevermore, we pray and believe. Amen. We'll see
Amen.
y'all soon.
Thank you.